This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 422.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. Again, none this next weekend, no WordCamps, but the week after, there is one coming up. So hold out for that next week. I did want to share a book that I'm reading because I put this in the segment here since there's no upcoming events. Currently reading and loving the book called The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. It is really good. The subtitle, by the way, is Embrace Discomfort and Reclaim Your Wild, Happy, Healthy Self. A fantastic book so far. I'll have it done by the time you hear this episode, actually. And a solid takeaway, get outside more without technology. Go figure. Anyway, it's just a really, really good book. So I highly recommend it. Anyway, I think I'm actually going to buy a couple copies. One for myself because I bought, this was a gift. So like just to read it and then pass it on kind of thing. And I'm going to buy my own copy to go back and do some highlights. And it's in that category for me of The Big Leap. That's what literally, I'm going to keep it and go back. And I'm going to give away a couple of copies. So if you want a copy, let me know. Okay, tell me how you might use it. Anyway, so moving on, segment one in the news. Two things to talk about here. Cloudways and Cloudflare have partnered up to offer enterprise add-ons for more secure hosting. Cloudflare is a protection layer to protect people, hackers from getting, protect against hackers from getting into your website. Cloudways is a hosting company. I use Cloudways actually for some of my for my dev servers. So I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But there is a nice new enterprise-grade security update and a secure hosting add-on. So if you're using Cloudflare, if you want to use Cloudways, you can now because they have a partnership there. So check that out. Also in the news, kind of sad news, Wallace Inline Editor has been placed on archive status. So Bradley, I forgot his last name, who built this project. It's used for Beaver Builder. I think also could be used for Elementor, but we use it for Beaver Builder. It lets my clients manage websites and contents from the front end of a Beaver Builder site versus the back end. Pretty cool. I've been using it for a couple of years. I'm a supporter, but I believe, I reached out, asked to see what was going on. He didn't write back to me, but it looks like he did put the code on GitHub. So I suppose someone could fork the project. But yeah, Wallace Inline Editor currently archived, no longer going to be ongoing maintained, supported, or developed, I guess is the key word there. I did look out. There are a few other alternatives. Maybe I'll dive into those and do some reviews on those in the near future. So yeah, I'm kind of bummed. But it still works. It's not going to just die, in a sense. It's not going to stop working. But I need to find something to replace it, sooner than later, I guess, just because you never know. Things break. So anyway, all right, moving on. Segment 2, the meat and potatoes, this week's episode. This week, I want to speak about being healthy. In this case, leaning towards physical health. Just because, it's kind of what I've been doing lately, versus mental health. So with that in mind, some of you may know that I recently completed an ultra marathon, which is crazy. I know it sounds crazy. What's an ultra marathon for those who don't know? Well, technically it's defined as any distance past a standard marathon of 26.2 miles. The one I did was the shortest next step up, being a 50K, which is 31 miles technically. Mine was 32.7 based on where it started and ended. I'm not bitter. And anyway, I'm moving on. I digress. So over the past 5 months during training, I tracked a lot of data. And I shared a bunch of it, but only towards the end of the journey did I really consider how I may track future endeavors. In this case, how I'm going to do this using a WordPress website. So, I tracked a lot. I shared a bunch. We'll get to that in a minute. But first and foremost, a disclaimer. Just one main thing here. I am not a professional in the sense of training, nutrition, medical advice, etc. You should seek the counsel of certified doctor, a professional, a nutritionist before attempting any strenuous activity because you need to know what you need to know about your situation and lifestyle. So with that said, here are 4 ideas that I am going to toy with on creating for my next pursuit. Since apparently I'm a runner now, well, again, more on that in a second, and I want to do a better job of tracking and maybe sharing as well. So number 1, the simplest thing you could do is you can create a workout diary. Okay, this is where you would blog or vlog about your overall training. It's a simple WordPress installation, no special theme or plugin needed. Just save, write down what you did that day and how you felt about it. Really simple. People say diarying and journaling is good for you. It's good for the brain to get it out of your head. So that's the simplest thing you can do. You can create a workout diary, what you did today from the workout perspective. Did you go for a run, a walk, a hike, lifted weights, yoga, whatever it is, write it down and save it. And it's also kind of neat to see this kind of information down the line in 3, 6, 9, 12 months later, where you were to kind of go back and review from time to time. Okay, the second thing you can do is exercise tracking. Now, this can be, again, super simple or as complex as you want to make it. Simple being entering what you did as a basic entry. You could create a form to capture the specific data that you want to track. So for my Ultra, I actually use a service called Strava to keep track of my runs. And then I copied that information from every training run I did. I copied that distance over to the website I created to kind of keep a running tally. Now, could I incorporate those two together automatically? Probably. And yes, you can. Strava actually has an API. I just realized that. And they also have a widget piece of code which you can put on a website. But it depends on how you want to capture it. But you can also create the form itself to say if you wanted to track your actual workouts, if you're lifting weights or if you are, how many reps you did on something. So you could do a form that you give for yourself and they just enter the data and it saves it. And then you can also display it as well on the front end as well. So there's a lot you can do with a form. And I would use Gravity Forms because that's what we use. So again, just a call out to, there's plenty of other forms. If you wanted to use Contact Form 7, I suppose you could use that. WP Forms, but I'm a Gravity Forms guy. So there we go. All right. Number 3, meal planning. Okay, we got to eat, right? Now, the key here is what to eat and when, as well as the quantities. With that said, we are all different: gender, size, height, age. And all that means that not one person is going to have the same needs and requirements from somebody else. And it takes time to figure this out. Our goals are different too. So again, there are services out there that can help here, or you can incorporate that into your own website via a form. You can display it on a mini dashboard of the back end of your website. It just takes some preparation ahead of time. It reminds me of the quote, never go grocery shopping when you're hungry. Why? Because you'll buy everything and anything versus what you actually need. Okay. So meal planning is not that difficult to do. And if you track it, if you say, I'm going to come up with these plans and put those, in your website, you can say, I want this week to be these things. And it presents it for you again on the website. And maybe the website's just for you. Maybe it's for public. We'll get to that in a second as well. So you can plan meals and track this on your website. You can also use services for this as well and incorporate that in your website. If they don't have an API, you can possibly pull it in through Zapier because it makes you happier. So anyway, so that's number 3. And number 4 is sleep tracking. So get this, sleep is super important, like really, really important when it comes to training and recovery. For the past 6 weeks of training, I've been using a piece of hardware called a Whoop band that my buddy Dustin sent me. They have a great marketing angle. They give it the band for free, and then they give you 2 months to try it out. But then a subscription kicks in. I was curious to see what data it provides, and it provides a lot of data, like a bunch. It's overwhelming at first, and I think my Apple Watch can do much of this as well, but I wanted to see it and test something else as well. I had intention on doing a review comparison between Apple and the Whoop band, didn't get to it, but I might. I don't know if I'm going to keep going with the subscription. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. So keep in mind, like I said a minute ago, these ideas I'm sharing with you can be used just for you. You don't need to publish them online. You could run it on a local dev server. You can password protect the website so that the world doesn't need to see everything. It just depends on what you need, okay? So, I just think, again, workout diary, it's good to write things down. Exercise tracking, you want to track what you actually did. Meal planning, because you got to eat and you want to know what worked for you, how do you feel after certain foods. It's also good to know as well. And sleep tracking. Those are the 4 main things I think you kind of want to focus on. Additionally, I always put my workouts on the calendar a couple days ahead, if not at least one day ahead, like next morning, and I put my things out. My workout clothes are out. Once it's on my calendar, I go. If it's not on my calendar, I don't go. I just, I do not miss my appointment with myself on that. So, okay, now, moving forward, by the way, I'm also thinking that perhaps I could offer this type of service as a website for a vertical market. Let's say personal trainers or exercise bloggers or fitness, I hate the word influencers, but influencers. Or if you have an in with a CrossFit club, maybe you want to help them come up with a website for them or for their members. You can actually do multi-site kind of thing. I don't know. So, and also I want to mention when I say apparently I'm a runner now and how did I track stuff? Yeah, I had a basic website. I still have it. It can be found over at runadam.run as well as Instagram. And that's where I shared. I did blog posts, a handful of videos, not even a handful. And I did the Instagram thing. I had intention on doing a lot more. I just didn't for whatever reason. I had some imposter syndrome. It happens. It happens in business. It happens in my running life. I did at least. I'm pushing through that, and I'm going to take things to the next level for my next event. That's going to be crazy. What's the next event? I don't know, maybe 100K. I don't know. I'm thinking there's another 50K coming up in 2 weeks. Am I ready to go out again? Maybe. Anyway, all right. So moving on, I'm interested in knowing what you're going to do. Stay healthy mentally and physically, and put together a quick little website. We know this is not hard for our own use. Doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be functional and progress over perfection. All right, moving on. Segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This was cool. I saw this online somewhere. It's called Cache Notify. It's a site. It's a plugin for, I believe, your website. No, for your computer. Excuse me, for your computer. Runs on PC as a Macs. It's cachenotify.com. It lets you see payments that come through for Stripe and PayPal in your menu bar. It's pretty cool. It's really affordable too, by the way. It's $19 for one site, $44 for multiple sites. Yeah, kind of neat. So if you want to see how you're getting paid consistently without logging into those accounts or getting emails, you can just see it in your toolbar on the Mac or PC. It's called cachenotify.com. I have no connection to them. Just thought it was kind of neat. 14-day trial. I'm going to set this up for something pretty soon here. See how well it works. So there you go. Cachenotify.com. All right, moving on. That's it, I guess. Yeah, wrap it up. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com, or use that SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, become a Patreon. I would love that. If you want to sponsor the show, also, I would love that. You can do that. There's a form on the website. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right? Bye-bye.